Sure. They talk about Clare, and rightly so, and sometimes Donegal and other parts of the country, but we're not behind the door when it comes to putting out that music. And a great granduncle of mine was one of the people that helped to make it so. That was Tom Kiernan, blind Kiernan he was called, although he was partially sighted. He couldn't have been, because he wrote and he could write his name with a clear hand, and so he would have been partially sighted and maybe went blind in later life. And his nephew, my granduncle Bernard Rogers, they were both fiddle masters, and fortunately to promote that music, people like Conor are doing great work in studying it, and he is a friend and a companion in the love of music, and that's Father John Quinn from Parish Priest of Longford Leitrim, who has been collecting reams and reams of music. I think, Conor, there are a total of 11 collections.
11 collections in the whole region, of music.
And how impressive is that collection, really?
Well, I mean, I've been doing a lot of studies the last 4 to 5 years on old music that dates back to the 1800s, and I would, if any one region could find 1 or 2 collections, they'd be doing well. But to find 11 separate collections in a small region like South Leitrim, North Longford is just incredible. And I mean, 3 of those were only found in the last year. So it's, again, I know we're talking about Sunday Night Society, but if anyone out there has music, old manuscripts or old audio tapes, please do, call us or email to get into contact.
And of course, Conor, just before we go on, Aidan's just, as you say, he's sitting in the chair at the moment. When we talk about your research, you've researched this. This is part of what you're, as a student, has been drawn to this for your college work, yes?
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose to go back a little bit, not too long, like I was in the Cayley bands with Father Quinn for the last 20 years, and if you play any instrument in the region of South Leitrim or North Longford, you will have gone through Father Quinn's Cayley bands at some stage. And I suppose he would have told us, this is a Stephen Greer tune or a Larry Smith from such a manuscript, or Blind Kiernan or something. So we're always aware of the rich musical heritage. But then a couple of years ago, I was working in Dublin, and he said to me, would you mind studying a bit of this music? I said, I have it all here, and would you mind looking at it? I says, well, I don't really have time, but you don't say no to Father Quinn. Well, you might say it once, but he is a great, he's so enthusiastic and great love for it, that I eventually said, okay, look, I'll just take it on. And when I looked at all the collections of music he had, I decided to go down one stream, which was the Thomas Blind Kiernan fiddle tradition of North Longford. And I mean, it's funny, when I was doing any presentations or anyone was asking me what I am studying, and I said the history of fiddle music in North Longford, I was met with a kind of a puzzled look. There's a history of fiddle music in North Longford. So that was one of the reasons, I wanted to show that, North Longford had a rich history of fiddle music, like anywhere else in the country, not just Clare or Kerry or,
right.
So then, through Father Quinn, I looked at the collections and I decided to study how music evolved through Thomas Blind Kiernan from the 1840s right up to 1975.
And incidentally, he was born in 1807, again through your own research, and he died in 1887. He had a good long life, and his nephew 1856 to 1907, isn't that right?
Bernard Rogers.
So, and they had a huge impact. That's the reason that Common Ceol Chonwachna was founded. Conmachna is a region which takes in roughly South Leitrim and North Longford, and that's where they perambulated around that area teaching the music, and others too.
Yeah.
And their musical descendants are coming together at this function at the launch of the new society, CCC we call it, Common Ceol Chonwachna, on the 28th, Sunday the 28th of this month, August next, up in the library in Granard. A very appropriate setting, because that's where the harp festival was held, in the same room we were going to be in, isn't that right?
Same room.
In the 1780s.
Yeah.
John Dungan, and that's another story. The other part, the other thing we want to do is to publish and disseminate the historical collections of Irish music from the area, and to do some digitising of Father Quinn's huge, vast collection, which again is unique in Ireland. There is none bigger, and he is, I wouldn't say a revered figure just because he's a priest, but he is hugely admired and appreciated for the huge work he's done as a musicologist. I would think it's safe to say he's the leading musicologist on the subject of dance music in Ireland, or one of the leading authorities, let's put it that way. Then to digitise that, we're going to try and erect a plaque, a monument or something to Kiernan in the Drumlish area where he came from, which is my father's place. That's where we come from, Drumlish. And then to set up an annual summer festival in North Longford, and to provide workshops. We're working at that. We're hoping people will have an input into it along the way, that people will have things to tell us, advise us, because we don't have all the answers. We have a lot of questions for ourselves. So that's what we're about.
And then there's, of course, one other thing is just that when I talk about all the collections of music, is that a lot of them are still in private hands. Or are held by people, owned by people in the region of North Longford, South Leitrim. So, I mean, from a research, I kind of decided that, you know, there needed to be an archive within the region to preserve these manuscripts. I mean, for instance, it was incredible. Last year, I was nearly finished my research and I had enough fiddle music, and then I got in contact from, or Aidan rang me to say that he had Mary Brady Hughes from Cully Fad, Killow, with him, and that she had some music to show me, some fiddle manuscripts. I thought, this is brilliant, I'll go over and see what it is. And she had 7 manuscripts of fiddle music written by 3 generations of fiddle players in her family who originated from Gaig, Balnamuck. You had Patrick O'Farrell, he wrote the first manuscript in the 1860s. He passed it on to his nephew, Francis Rellens, who wrote 3 more manuscripts. He died in the 1940s. And then he passed it on to Mary's mother, Maggie Rellens, another fiddle player. And she added tunes to it. So you had this collection of 500 tunes, goes back to Blind Kiernan, just appeared out of nowhere last year, and just as I was finishing. So, of course, I had to study it and I had to add it to my work. But that just gives you an idea of the volume of, you know, traditional Irish music.
That's what's called an embarrassment of riches.
Exactly. So one of the objectives of society is to find and to locate an archive, hopefully in the new development of the Longford Barracks. Currently, that's a project that is ongoing at the moment, and we're working with them to find a space within that new building for our archive.
Well, we have some music. Conor Ward we're listening to here, giving us a great overview there, and of course the chairman of this CCC, Aidan O'Hara, himself a famed broadcaster. We're capturing some of it here for our own footage as well on the page on that, and we'll have it. But Conor has some recordings with us which we'd like to hear, and these are archive recordings, so apologies for the sound and the scratches and all that, because we're going back. What are we listening to first, Conor?
Well, I suppose Packy Dolan was just on there, so we will leave him for the moment. Another person I have an interest is Frank Quinn, who some of you might know as a famous famous artist from the 1920s and 30s, a recording artist in America. He recorded over 180 sides. He's more known, though, I suppose, for his stage Irishman persona, that he didn't take it too seriously, but he has a lot of tracks that are seriously good music. So I want to show that aspect of Frank Quinn.
Right. The patrolman Frank Quinn, was he known as
Frank Patrolman Quinn, and he released over 180 sides in a space of 15 years.
So track 1, is it track 1 we've lined up, Conor?
It is track 2, I believe.
Track 2,
the
so
Temple
we're going
House.
for track 2, hang on. We're getting them all here now. Just take our time, everybody. We'll wait at this. There we are now. Let's see, well, that's coming up now. So we're going to listen to this now. I've heard him described as patrolman Frank Quinn. Famed, many recordings were left in America, isn't that right? Lots.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So whereabouts is he from again, Conor?
Greya in Drumlish.
And so what year are we talking about this recording, just to give people that's listening tonight a context?
This is around 1925.
Here we go.
The bone. Something like that. Roberts.
Yeah, so if you want to talk
story about the fiddle hanging on the wall, my grandmother, little person.
Yeah, and then bring in the Master Rogers for first track. First track, yeah.
Well, you can introduce it, you can.
Yeah, but if you talk about part of our turn and then cover the Master Rogers track.
So, Martin, we'll talk about my uncle, Bernard Rogers, and then the next piece he plays His Reel, or it's named after him.